portfolios. Building a portfolio, obviously, in the union world, a resume is all we send out because that, like you said, 6 feet under, they're going to know what your work is like. But if you are working in the non-union world, if you're working in print, for commercials, you're definitely going to need a reel. That is crucial. There are some people that, we have artists that have done commercials and haven't done a reel yet, and we can't book them with new production companies because they don't have a reel. So if you have any interest in getting a lot of commercials, definitely once you have more than 5 commercials, you should start to work on a reel. And reels should always be under 2 minutes, just short clips, set to some neutral but kind of upbeat music. Don't go crazy with the music because I've seen reels where the music, you just want to turn it off immediately because it's hardcore techno or whatever they decided to put in. You're just like, okay. But I've also seen people put reels to opera music, and not that I don't like opera, but it can be a little bit dull when you're trying to watch a reel. So make sure it's something that's pretty universal but upbeat and not necessarily time specific. And don't overdo it on the clips. Like if you only have 4 commercials, I would still wait to make a reel because you can put those 4 commercials on your site as separate clips, but I wouldn't necessarily do a reel because it's going to be a really short reel, or you're going to have basically all 4 commercials in a row, and you don't really want to do that. So I would wait till you have a good handful before you really put one together. But it's definitely crucial if you want to do commercials. If you're working, if you want to put a portfolio together, if you're interested in doing print and so forth, obviously you have to build up your work. So you want to start by testing with photographers. And the best way I find to meet photographers to test with is either going to photography schools and finding, these people that are, you'd be surprised at how talented some of the photography students are and how quickly they move up in the world. Meeting photography assistants when you're on set on a shoot, because a lot of times the photo assistants are actually working on their own portfolios. And the better the photographer they're working with, the more resources they have and the more connections they have. So they're a lot of times able to submit work to higher end people. And sometimes they've actually got a pretty substantial client list on their own, aside from the people they assist. Calling modeling agencies, because a lot of the photographers are doing tests with new models. So they usually have a handful of photographers that are calling them to use the new models. So you can ask them, oh, who's been calling you? Can I get her? Or can you give them my contact? I do hair and makeup. And then also calling the hair and makeup agencies in the area. I mean, we have a testing list that we blast out. Whenever we get photographers that call us or email us, we say, okay, we'll blast this out for you. And we tell the artist not to contact us. They have to contact the photographer directly. And then, the photographer, he might not use you this time, but it's always good to make that connection, and you can keep checking in with them. And then also, looking at the newer magazines. There's so many new magazines that are popping up all the time. Looking at the magazines, looking at who's doing the shoots, even portrait stuff. And then oftentimes, if you Google them, they'll have a website, and just contact them through their website and say, hey, are you doing any tests? Here's my website. Try to meet them that way. And then going to, obviously, networking out in the public, going to photo, gallery openings, going to magazine parties, going to anything that's geared towards something that photographers might be going to.